Today, we're digging into something that's more than just a job title. It's really a vision for the future of construction. We're going to break down the role of the BIM Automation Architect.
So let's just kick things off with a big question. In a world that's packed with talented designers, what's the secret sauce? What's that one thing that takes a person from just being good at their job to being absolutely essential?
Well, it really boils down to this: the power to automate. The ability to make everything smarter, faster, and way more efficient. So let's dive right in and deconstruct what it really means to be a BIM automation architect.
First things first, we've got to talk about the huge shift in thinking this role represents. We're really looking at a totally new kind of architect, one that's designed for this digital era.
And here's the most crucial point to get. This role, it goes way beyond just designing buildings. A BIM automation architect designs the process of building. They look at the entire workflow, find all those frustrating bottlenecks, and then literally engineer solutions to make the whole team more powerful.
So, how do they actually do all that? Well, it all begins with a deep, deep mastery of the foundational tools. Let's take a look at the absolute essentials. And that foundation is, of course, Revit. For anybody who might not be familiar, just think of it as the digital command center for the entire construction project. It's where architects, engineers, and all the construction pros work together from one single, unified model.
Now, here's what's so interesting. It's not nearly enough to just know Revit. An automation architect needs real hands-on experience across all the disciplines. That's architecture, structure, and MEP, which is your mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. They have to be absolute masters of setting up complex projects, managing how teams collaborate in real time, and just generally keeping that digital model healthy and running smoothly. This is the bedrock. No question.
All right, so once that Revit foundation is rock solid, it's time to unlock the real magic. This is the moment you go from just being a user to becoming an innovator, and you do that with a tool called Dynamo.
And this illustrates the why perfectly. Just imagine the mind-numbing task of having to manually renumber 500 rooms in a huge model after a design change. That could take hours of just tedious, error-prone clicking. But with Dynamo, you build a workflow, you press a button, and poof, it's done. In seconds. This isn't just a small improvement. It's a complete revolution in how you work.
Now, to make that magic happen, you do need some very specific skills. You've got to be able to create and tweak these visual scripts. Handling geometry, that's the actual shapes and forms in the model, is listed as the primary skill. But you also have to be great at managing lists of data and manipulating all the information, the I in BIM, that's attached to every single object.
And the process itself is just beautifully logical. You start by finding a pain point, that boring, repetitive task that everybody on the team just hates. Then you think like an engineer and you break the problem down into logical steps. After that, you build the script in Dynamo's visual interface, and then you set it loose to automate that task forever.
You see, knowing the tools is one thing, but proving you can use them under pressure, on a real project, with real deadlines, well, that's what separates the people who get considered from the people who get hired.
This quote right here is the key takeaway for this whole section. All the tutorials in the world don't really matter if you haven't actually applied these skills to a live, messy, complex project. Employers want to see that you've solved real-world problems, not just something you did in a class.
But if you really want to stand out, there's another layer of expertise that can give you a massive advantage, something that can take your skills to a whole other level.
This is where we get into having some familiarity with scripting languages like Python or C#. You can use these right inside Dynamo to go way beyond the standard tools and create some seriously powerful custom solutions. And having a basic understanding of the Revit API, which is basically the language the software uses to talk to itself, it shows you know how to communicate with the program on a much, much deeper level.
Okay, for our last section, let's talk about the thing that really ties all of these technical skills together. Because being a great automation architect is about so much more than just code and nodes on a screen.
Because when it comes right down to it, all this technology, it's just a set of tools. The true value, the real game changer, is the creative, collaborative problem solver who knows how to use those tools to help the entire team win.
And that brings us to the absolutely essential soft skills. I mean, what good is an amazing script if no one else on your team can understand it or use it? You have to document your work. You've got to be able to collaborate with the very team you're trying to help. And maybe most importantly, you have to be able to explain these complex technical solutions in a way that everybody can get on board and trust.
So we end up right back where we started, but now with a much deeper understanding. This role, the BIM Automation Architect, it's not just a job, it's a mindset. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. Are you ready to design the process, not just the building?